And maybe the best is Ken Schrader. Today, the finest from USAC test him as their premier division. The Silver Crown cars challenge the Rocket Fast pavement at Phoenix. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Larry Newber and Steve Chassie in Phoenix, Arizona for the annual Copper Classic. And today we present the Silver Crown Championship Dirt Cars. This is a big event for these drivers. This is a track unlike any they'll run on for the rest of the season. And this weekend is also very important to them. Many of them wait all year long to come here and perform well at Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, they do, Larry. This is a gathering. Everyone meets here. This is the icebreaker. It starts the season. Everyone's been all kept up all winter, and they can't wait to get out here to Phoenix. And this race is really, it's the Indianapolis 500 for the Champ Dirt Cars, the Silver Crown Series. It draws a lot of great people to this race. As a matter of fact, one guy who always runs good at Daytona, Kenny Schrader, is here, who is the race winner from last year.
On the pole, the brand new track record is Ken Schrader. That is he in the black number 29. Gary Bettenhausen is alongside. In the second row, California's Brent Kading and Jeff Gordon, now living in Indiana. In row 3, from the World of Outlaws, Dave Blaney and pavement specialist Bob Fry. Steve Butler and Dave Feast are side by side behind them. Mark Alderson and Mike Bliss from the Pacific Northwest. And in row 6, Wally Pankratz and Eric Gordon. In the 7th row, George Snyder and Andy Hillenberg, that's Indiana's Hillenberg. Lilo McSpadden and Walt Kennedy from Southern California. Wayne Hammond from Florida and Darrell Hall. In the 10th row, Danny Milburn and Rich Vogler. In row number 11, side by side, Tony Elliott and Chuck Gurney, last year's champion of these cars. Then comes Jimmy Sills and Greg Staub from the Cincinnati area. Bob Stacconi from out east and Ronnie Dunstan, also from out east. Gary Griffin, Ohio, and Davey Hamilton from Idaho. In the 16th row is Frank McDaniel and Bob Davison. There is young Jeff Gordon.
Jeff is really an amazing young guy. 18 years old. He is proficient in whatever he drives. He's just one of the new rising, shining stars.
30 United States Auto Club Silver Crown cars all set to go for their fastest race of the season. Out of turn number 4, Kenny Schrader sees the green flag, drops the accelerator, but Gary Bettenhausen on the outside beats him into turn number 1. Bettenhausen continues to run up front, and Jeff Gordon continues to pressure. That is Jeff, and Jeff a little bit out of shape, and that will punish his tires later in this race.
It is. There's two different styles. The old master running smooth and straight, and there's a young Charger really standing on the gas and using the car 100% all its work. Ten different states are represented in today's 30-car starting field for the USAC Silver Crown cars, and 4 competitors are really having a go at it up front for the lead. And now they're counting up the traffic. It makes a lot of sense. The guys that run more often should do better, but look at this. Gary's down the inside.
Gordon almost loses control going into turn number 1. He drops from 2nd to 4th position.
Too hard and blistering tires early in the race.
Tires are a major factor on these cars in this race. There is Gordon looking to the inside of Schrader, but there's not quite enough room this time. Jeff Gordon is getting a terrific drive coming out of turn number 2. Now back on the track, there is Gordon once again looking inside of Schrader, and there is that dog leg, and this time Gordon gets a little bigger thrust going into turn 3.
He really was gassing it down the straight through the inside of the dog leg, and he just had a good enough run that he got by him on the inside.
Well, this is not a sprint race. We will go 50 laps. You know, this is an interesting situation because not only has Jeff Gordon never driven one of these cars, but he's never driven on this track in this car. Here are the leaders after about 1/3 of this high-speed 50-mile argument. Ken Schrader is the leader of the race. Bob Fry, the pavement specialist, runs in 2nd in the yellow number 20. Jeff Gordon is in 3rd in car number 35, and it's a challenging position. The veteran Gary Bettenhausen. One of the cars we have been keeping a close eye today is that of Jeff Gordon's.
We've been watching this car. It bounces the front end real hard entering the corner. The shocks look okay, so I'd say it's just a matter he has too much front brake on the car.
Jeff Gordon has run in the top 4 since the drop.
Jeff, we talked just prior to this red flag that this has not been physically a good weekend for you. You're kind of racing in a puny state right now, but let's talk about the car. There looks to be some problem here.
Well, you know, we went from 4th to 1st back to 4th and up to 1st, and now we're like 5th or 6th, and I think that I just used the tire too much too early, and now I think it's starting to go away on me a little bit.
You think it's tire and not suspension?
Well, I'm really not sure if I knew we'd have it done, but I think it's tire.
We are under red because of a front straightaway crash and rollover by Wayne Hammond from Florida, and here's another angle at that, Steve.
And you can see how far the car travels between hits, and when it hits hard at 120 miles an hour until it stops.
No, it really does, and it hurts. By the way, that puny state that Gary was referring to about Jeff Gordon, Jeff has been in bed with the flu, only getting out of bed to come out for practice and racing this weekend. He couldn't even attend the pre-race parties the night before the last 2 nights.
Kenny Schrader in this particular ride goes 5 out of 7, and he fell out of the other 2 while leading. Kenny, congratulations.
Well, I'll tell you what, it felt awful good. Man, I knew the world was right on us on that restart, but we went to a little different tire, and it held up for 3 laps. I wouldn't have wanted to run 4.
You went real soft.
We went pretty soft. We was about as soft as they made. It's the same tire we qualified on, and it picked up pretty good push the last turn. I got worried somebody's going to get underneath us.
Well, let's talk about earlier in the race. You did not have the domination of this event that I've seen in the past.
Maybe Louis needs to answer that. Everybody else keeps getting bigger and better engines, and ours just keeps getting more worn out.
Well, maybe he can take some of this prize money and put that toward a new engine.
We're strongly going to talk about that tonight, I guarantee you.
All right, Kenny Schrader in victory lane for the 5th time here at Phoenix.
And at this track, the Silver Crown cars have run only 3 times in history, and Ken Schrader and Louis Seymour have won them all. There is Bob Fry, who's finished 2nd in this race. Bob Ciccone, after a great drive, net 3rd, and George Schneider holds on. An exciting last lap for 4th, and Jeff Gordon talking about holding on. This man was on the edge of the cliff all day long. Dave Feast, great race in 6th. Indiana's Andy Hillenberg comes home a well-deserved 7th. Mike Bliss is 8th. Eric Gordon will be 9th, and Indiana's Danny Milborn is in 10th position.
To Ascot Park in Gardena, California for our first broadcast of Saturday Night Thunder for 1990. Hello everyone, I'm Larry Newbert. This of course is Steve Chassie. Now our format in 1990 is going to be different and it's going to be very exciting. Of course, you will see the sprint cars and midgets in 1990. Tonight we're going to be focusing on the USAC Western States Midgets. Here is the lineup in heat race number 1. On the inside of the first row is Gary Howard. Dirk Van Cott is on the outside. Row number 2, side by side, Chris Alexander and Frank Baldozier, all California drivers so far. The third row is Terry Farrar, awesome Terry Farrar, and from Indiana, Jeff Gordon. Row number 4, 7th and 8th starting positions are Robbie Flock, the defending champion out here, and Sid Carlson. And in the 5th row, scheduled to go side by side, were John Cofer and Bill Badger. But as you can see, Steve Stasa has moved up to the inside of Bill Badger. 10 cars to go. The first 4 cars will qualify for the main event. Now we will be riding this evening in that black car with the blue helmeted driver. From Pittsboro, Indiana, that is Jeff Gordon. Well, now we are inside of Robbie Flock's car, so it is going to be Robbie Flock that we'll be riding with this evening. Flock and Jeff Gordon, whom we highlighted just a couple of seconds ago, figure on paper going in here to be the guys to beat in this race. They start side by side in row number 3. The field is coming around. Turn number 4. We're looking for our first green flag of the ESPN 1990 season. A little bit of a ragged start with the green flag. We're underway into turn number 1, and it's Gary Howard.
Gary Howard's running real strong, and the racetrack's in great shape tonight. It's just real tacky, and they get in corners real hard.
That second dark blue car with the orange roll cage is car number 07. That's Dirk Van Cott. He's trying to hold on to 2nd position. Here comes Robbie Flock. Flock has moved up to 3rd. Jeff Gordon running the high lane is in 4th.
The high lane sometimes works here, and it looks like he's got the number on the high line tonight because it's still wet enough and enough cushion up there. He's getting a good bite through the corner.
The goal is to make the main event. To do so, you do not just qualify, you have to finish your preliminary heat race in the top 4. And right now, both Flock and Gordon appear to be moving in there. Now Gordon is 3rd and Flock is 2nd.
See, Gordon can't quite get up the corner. I mean, not Gordon, Flock can't quite get up the corner as strong as he'd like to. But in the corner, into the middle of the corner, he's real strong right now.
driving very hard to the inside of Gary Howard. Gary Howard is the Californian who has immense experience in open wheel race cars, TQs, full midgets, and sprint cars, and now Howard is being challenged by Jeff Gordon. 5 laps down, 3 to go. Is it going to be Flock? Is it going to be Gordon? And Gordon gets a big bite going into turn number 1, but the car carries a little bit further coming out of turn number 2, Steve, than what he would wish.
Yeah, Robbie's really got a good setup. He's coming off the corner strong and hard, picking the front end up. And here goes Gordon by on the outside, I think, this lap. He got a good first turn, off the second turn, hammered down, he's gone. Now we'll see what the in-cage cam looks like in a 2-car battle.
Side by side with 6 laps down. We have had a spin in turn number 1. That is the number 7 car of Frank Baldozier. Incidentally, he is a blacksmith by trade, but he is well off the racetrack, and so the green flag stays out. Meanwhile, they were side by side. I mean, not even a dime was separating them in turn number 2. Gordon may be leading here, but the number 1 car, our defending champion of Robbie Flock, he is hardly giving up.
He's not giving up, you know, and Gordon is as young as he is, he's doing an excellent job on the cushion. He's got a lot of speed up there, but one little mistake and he's done.
Big slide job from Robbie Flock that time, but it wasn't enough. Now you got to also realize that Robbie Flock is the defending champion, has run many, many laps on this track. Jeff Gordon has run, this may well be his first race, and Flock gets very sideways in turn number 3. Robbie Flock is in jeopardy of losing his second place. Second is going to go to the number 6 car of Gary Howard. There is Slop trying to gather steam so that he can finish 4th, and he just barely pulls it off.
That was a great race. He lost a little momentum when he gave a big slide job in there and tried to get by Gordon, and then he backed up a little bit, had a few car lengths behind him, and he just overcooked it in the 3rd turn.
So Jeff Gordon turns in a terrific job, starting from the inside of row number 3 to win the first heat race, and he wins it against all the veterans of Ascot Park. You know, see, we just
with these things, they're the same cars, except
starting on the pole in this race will be Frank Pedregon. He is a driver who does very well out here on the West Coast, and he could be very strong in this race. Here is the lineup. Frank Pedregon is on the pole. Sleepy Trip will start on the outside in the red number 3, the many times champion out here. Jeff Gordon, who looked very strong in his heat race, will start on the inside of the 2nd row in the black number 4. Hank Butcher starts on the outside in the brightly colored number 2. You'll see orange and blue on that car. Prime time, Robbie Flock, defending champion. Inside, row number 3, Darrell Hall. You just saw him win the last chance race. He starts 6th. Then comes Wally Pankratz, Terry Farrar, Ron Schumann, Jerry Coons Jr., P.J. Jones. He is starting in 11th position. Tommy White, the 84 champ, he is in 12th. Indiana's Andy Hillenberg is next. Then comes Dale Sexton, incidentally, also running in that Barber South race that we will go back to when this race is over. Then comes Bob Davison, the winner of the most recent main event. He's in a orange number 53. You are riding with Robbie Flock right there. That's Wally Pankratz in the yellow number 34. Johnny Parsons Jr., he starts at the outside of row 8. A.J. Johnson, James Clapp, Gary Howard, Dwayne Markham, and we have a green flag.
Sleepy had a good spot to start, although he couldn't start the race because he was on the outside, but he had a good bite coming off the corner.
Lots of tradings of positions, and Frank Pedregon spins right in front of the field. Frank was on the outside of Ron Sleepy Trip, and everybody did a pretty good job of getting by. We end up with...
Well, since I'm on the pole and it's my job to start the race, I would start it slow, fast, something different. He started off slow, and that didn't work.
Well, you almost have to question that start because Jeff Gordon is...
Whoa, that's Flippy upside down.
That's Tripp.
Lost the wheel and went over the fence into the cars that are spun and coming up the 2nd turn.
Sleepy Trip takes a pretty solid header there in turn number 1. You can see the fuel spilling out.
He's waiting to get turned over. He's shaking his head. He wasn't too happy about that. And when we get to see the replay of that, you can see that...
well, the frustration of the field began before the start of the race. Jeff brought them around at the speed that he wanted to, Steve, and Sleepy had at least a full car length advantage on him before the green flag went off. But that was not really Tripp's fault. Perhaps the green flag should not have been thrown.
I was just going to say that. And Jeff was he was the man that was in the driver's seat. He was the one that was going to start the race.
Let's go over here.
That was a bad start, and that was a result of a bad start because Jeff tried to make up for it, and he went up and slipped across the racetrack and just ran into a Sleepy. And
Well, let's take a look at it. Let all those of you at home make your decision on the start of this race. Well, we're picking up already going into turn number 1. This is after the flip began.
He had just run in too hard, trying to make up the bad start, and he got into Sleepy and just turned him upside down.
We'll start this race single file, even though we have not completed a lap, because we've had 2 incidents, 1 yellow, 1 red, and that's the rule procedure in USAC. When you have that much trouble starting a race, you don't do a double file. Green flag, and Jeff Gordon and Robbie Flock come very close to one another, coming down the front stretch. They were the 2 that went at it for the victory in the heat race, and Robbie Flock looks like he may have the advantage on Jeff, but Jeff way up there in the cushion. He has got his foot flat to the floor all the way around. Flock taking the more conservative, it's the shorter route, but can he parlay it to the lead? Here is the official starting lineup for tonight's main event. On the inside of row number 1, Hank Butcher. PJ is on the outside. The second row, Chuck Gurney from Northern California, as we mentioned, and former champion here on the West Coast, Tommy White. The third row, Sleepy Tripp, the main man on the West Coast, and Jeff Gordon. He looks strong in this heat race. He's from Indiana. In the fourth row, Bob Davison and Robbie Flock. They start here because they are the 2 highest point accumulators in the TV series so far. In row number 5, Dale Sexton Jr. and Johnny Kofer. In the 6th row, 11th and 12th start spot, Johnny Parsons Jr. and A.J. Johnson. In row number 7, side by side, Stan Fox. He's on the inside. Watch him charge him. Frank Bell Dozier in the Agopian number 14. Row number 8, white number 23, James Clapp. Yellow number 34, Wally, Jolly Wally Pancratz. In the 9th row, Ron Hazelton and Frank Pedrigan. He won his heat race tonight. And in the 10th and final row will be Jed Davison and Doug Silva. Leading, Hank Butcher, black car right there, Jeff Gordon, he's third. Running second, Tommy White.
White's given a good run to Hank Butcher. Hank's got a little more momentum up top, but here comes Jeff on the inside. He is on his way just like he did in the heat race.
Gordon second, third place, up for grabs, end of lap number 2.
Now you watch Gordon, he'll take the outside here because he's not running as low on the racetrack. Well, I made a liar out of him. He went down low because Hank took the top line.
Classic battle, better.
Whoa, right on by.
Driver on the inside, Jeff Gordon slides past Butcher. Does Butcher have enough momentum to come back? Into turn number 1, Gordon high, Butcher low. Who is going to come out of the first 2 corners ahead? It looks like it's going to be Jeff Gordon.
That's pure desire there. That is pure desire. Just driving as hard as you can.
Remember, Sleepy Tripp was our winner a week ago, but he had an engine that continued to overheat. You're looking at 3rd and 4th positions. They are about the length of a football field behind the leader, Jeff Gordon, who has not won one of these races out here yet.
Man, that Gordon is really pouring that thing down into the corner.
Well, Jeff has one real advantage. He's driving the Beast chassis that we've talked about before, built by Bob Eastback in Indianapolis, and every weekend Bob flies out on Saturday morning. He is here to work on that chassis and also the chassis being driven by Stan Fox. So it's a real advantage for a race driver to have the car builder right there in his own pit.
Well, the chassis are part of the story, but so are the engines. Jeff is driving a Pontiac and Butcher's in a Gertie. Well, the winners here so far this year, Tripp has won, Bob Davison has won, and Robbie Flock has won. Those have been the 3 people who have won on TV. If you're wondering about Jeff Gordon, he's had consistent top 5 finishes, but not a main event victory yet.
There's Gordon. He is just flying. Now that car is hooked up so good. It's right on the verge of it would like to push the front end with the throttle on, but it won't, only because he's driving it so hard.
And like everybody, they've been working so hard, lap 27 incidentally, working on that car for the last 3 weeks, and much of the work has been done by young Jeff himself. He is becoming a pretty good chassis man when it comes to a short wheelbase open wheel race car.
And it will not hurt him either, because the more you know about the car, the more you can tell your mechanics. And here comes the white flag for Gordon right there. He went by. Oh, he jumped the cushion in the first turn, but he saved it.
Last time around, this is second place Hank Butcher, the leader. Gordon is right now now in turn number 3. He's still on course. He's approaching slower traffic, but I think he's going to win this one off of turn number 4. Double checker flag. Jeff Gordon wins. Second plate going to go to that man right there, Hank Butcher. Third place, rounding up, coming out of turn number 4. That'll be Sleepy Trip. And fourth place goes to Davison, and Fox was fifth. And Jeff Gordon is a happy man. The last time he won on ESPN live television, it was on pavement. He turns and looks at the cameraman and says, I think I got first.
Does this kid know where it is?
Yeah,
he knows where it is, doesn't he?
He's reasonably aware of what's going on. He's a happy man. And Steve, as you pointed out, there's double gratification for him because he knows not only did he steer this race car, but part of its foundation came at his hands.
Absolutely.
We'll be back and talk to Jeff Gordon in just a few moments here. Jeff Gordon, the 18-year-old from Pittsboro, Indiana, has won for the first time on ESPN dirt racetrack. Well, Pontiac certainly built excitement for Jeff Gordon tonight. His power plant carried him to first place. Hank Butcher, great race second. Sleepy Trip, a little bit off his pace. A week ago, he is third. Bob Davison, another strong finish. He's one of our top contenders here this year. And Stan Fox is fifth. And Gary Lee has got himself, I guess, the best seat in the house so far tonight, Gary.
Well, really, it'd be a better seat if the race were still going on. He stood tall in the cockpit during the competition. He's standing tall in the cockpit now, and he has that youthful exuberance. He came in and kept saying, oh my, oh my. Last week we talked about the wild ride you had over the cushion several laps up in turn 4. You had it dialed in this evening.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said last week, we worked the week before to get it to that third place last week, and we just did the same thing this week, and we knew what it was going to take if the cushion was anything like it was last week. And boy, I tell you that, you know, Bob East helped us out a lot and got the car really going good. I'd like to thank him, the crew, Hoosier Tires, Valvoline, Pontiac, Slater Engineering, and Militech and SEC Racing Wheels. You know, if it wasn't for them, we would never be right here in the winner's circle.
Is there any way that you can see hand signals here at this racetrack?
No way, no way. You know, in the heat race, I got to look back a little bit to see how far behind second was. But tonight, I was just so pumped up and so into it. When you're on a cushion like that, you don't have time to turn away and look somewhere else. And I just kept my eyes going forward and just kept looking for that checkered flag.
Congratulations. Such maturity. He's only 18 years old. We're going to try to come back and talk with second place and third place as Saturday Night Thunder continues live from Ascot Park. Stay with us.
Now, we've talked a number of times tonight about the TV points. We told you there are 4 drivers who are vying for the championship. Now, this is the point total updated through their heat races. As you can see how the night started with Gordon with 118, Davison 114, Tripp 110, and so on. They each received 3 points for showing up, and in their heat races, you can see how many each accumulated. The point difference now has shrunk to 15 points between leader Jeff Gordon and fourth place Robbie Flock. Now, all those drivers, of course, have qualified for the main event, including Jeff Gordon, who came out and took one warm-up lap at slow speed during our last break, and Gary Lee has an update on that situation.
If this were an IndyCar race, we'd say we're in the paddock area, but actually we're back here behind the quarter in the pit area. And there was some concern, Jeff, that there was a problem with number 4 after that heat race. You went out, took 1 lap out there, but you tell me you're just now fine tweaking?
Yeah, I mean, the motor's running really good in the heat race. We picked up a little bit of a miss about halfway through, and we think it might be ignition. So we decided to change the mag and the switch and just kind of, as you said, fine-tune it and really get it going, because this is the last race and it's really important. And you know, we want to make sure we're one of the top contenders.
You really, during your heat race, were experimenting top, middle, low. It looks like now, though, watching the rest of the heat races, the groove may be moving up.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom got pretty slick, and the top's going to probably be the place to be in the feature. And like you said, I was just pretty much experimenting. I tried to get around Hank Butcher, and you know, it just wasn't any room for me to get around, so I just pretty much started experimenting top, bottom, middle, and we're working really well.
All right, there he is. He leads the television point standings. He is also our winner from last week. We're about ready for the last chance race. We'll take a break and come back with more live USAC Midget Racing from Ascot Park. Well, of course, this is a very important week for the family of J.C. Agajanian. This marks the 6th anniversary of J.C.'s death, and also he'll be inducted into the Indianapolis 500 Hall of Fame next weekend during qualifying for the Indy 500. We have with us today Kerry Agajanian. And Kerry, you have Jeff Gordon standing right next to you, and you have a special presentation for Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Jeff is being given the award from the National Sprint Car Racing Poll. It's a national poll, and it's a wild card award, and that award is for giving the most exciting performance for sprint car racing this past year. Even though he does not race exclusively in sprint cars, as you can see, he's running midgets. He will be racing in sprint cars, and this is an award for him for the Wild Card Award in 1989.
Thank you very much, Kerry. I'd just like to thank the Sprint Car poll for this award, and looks like they're getting ready to roll this sprint car this midget feature out right now, and I better get going.
Okay, good luck to you tonight.
Thank you, Kerry. Well, of course, he likes the hardware, but right now, he certainly would like to get back to his race car and get that dark number 4 ready to see if he can win 2 in a row on Saturday Thunder here at Ascot Park. Stay with us.
Riding with Jeff Gordon in the black car number 4. You're looking out the tail of Jeff Gordon, the current points leader. He starts 10th. He did not have that strong of a heat race, and Sleepy Trip there in the red number 3, and Robbie Flock, the defending series champion here in the West Coast, they start ahead of him. If Jeff Gordon is to win this championship, he is not going to be able to sit back. He is going to have to win it underneath his own hands and feet.
And he is going for it. He was over the cushion on that start, but he didn't get a real good jump. But he's going for it. You can see that. There's a good shot from inside of his car. See just how tight and crowded it is and how slippery it is.
Let's ride with Jeff Gordon. Chuck Gurney, the orange number 71. Behind him, he has gotten around Robbie Flock. He has gotten around Sleepy Trip. Yellow flag, Jeff Gordon has moved up to 5th, where he was when the cars crossed the finish line at the end of the last lap. We will not know until the officials set up this restart lineup. But Jeff Gordon had a terrific lap and a half.
Had a great ride, and it looks as though he'll continue. Steve Stazza is spun out between 1 and 2.
We'll be back with the restart of this race. Suspense builds. Can Jeff Gordon do it?
And Jeff Gordon is really going for it again. I mean, he gassed it, slid all the way across the racetrack, up to the cushion. This is the kind of place, but he ran over the top.
He saved it. Unbelievable. Simply unbelievable.
Extreme lucky. It's not, no driver skill involved, just luck.
That car was plenty high enough up in the air to take a tumble, and Jeff Gordon brings it back down to earth. He runs forward. When you're driving down the street and you see a pigeon, there goes Gordon to the inside of Parsons. Will it stick this time? Slides up across the track, jumps the cushion, but he gets a bite, and this time Jeff Gordon, with throwing caution to the wind, takes over 2nd spot. Back to pigeon nerves in a minute. Steve.
That's the only way you can pass here, unless a guy makes a mistake, and he is driving what you would call 10-tenths. It's 1,000%.
Make that 11-tenths. That is P.J. Jones, the leader. He has about a half a lap lead on all the other top contenders. Now, if this race were to end right now, Jeff Gordon, of course, would win the TV Points Championship. P.J. Jones is not in it. There is the orange number 21 of P.J. Jones, leader. Parsons Jr. is 3rd. Sleepy Trip is in 4th position. The number 53, that is Bob Davison. He is currently in 6th, and 7th is Robbie Flock. Those are the other 2 people who had a shot at the Points Championship for this ESPN Ascot TV series. And right now, they're nowhere close. Tripp at least has a chance if something were to go wrong with Gordon. From Phoenix, Arizona, has just moved there from Southern California this year. The man is a blacksmith by trade. That perhaps the last time we'll see him this year on this ESPN telecast series, but he'll be back because he runs all the races here on the West Coast.
He may be a blacksmith, but on a racetrack like this, you better be a jeweler when you're going to be running that cushion.
Boy, it does take precision.
Whoa!
That was close. 23 laps are complete. 7 laps to go. Right now, there's the man who would win the championship. And Steve, the right rear hubcap moon disc on Gordon's car, I think, has been damaged. The white flag is coming up this time around for P.J. Jones. P.J. Jones is the man who might have been able to run with Jeff Gordon a week ago. There, second place, Jeff Gordon going by, and we're watching for third place. PJ is going to win this one, barring any type of difficulties. Here's a man who was shut out from victories in West Coast Midgets a year ago. He won several times in 1988. Second place is going to go to Jeff Gordon. He wins the championship. Here is the battle for third place. Sleepy Trip looks down low one last time, but Johnny Parsons Jr. turns in a great ride. He comes home in third place. Sleepy Trip is fourth. Chuck Gurney is fifth, and Robbie Gordon is sixth, but they all deserve third place. Chuck Gurney waving to Jeff. He say, "Hi, you didn't catch me, did you?"
That's PJ.
Sorry.
PJ waving. But I tell you that this was a very, very exciting finish to the ESPN race. I mean, this Ascot, JC Agajanian and Ascot ESPN series has been great, but this was it right here.
We'll be back to talk with the teenager and the man who just turned 21, who sat atop of the roost tonight at JC Agajanian's Ascot Park in Gardena, California. We have another new race winner, the fifth in 5 weeks, and our first racing champion of 1990. Well, our final Western States midget race is now complete. We have our fifth brand new winner, and Gary Lee is standing by.
Well, first of all, congratulations, PJ. It had to be a disappointment because you had to think last week you could run with this rascal over here, and tonight the feature was just like the heat race, a runaway.
Oh, I know, you don't really know that when you're out there in front, but I'll tell you what, this Dave Ellis and Shaver Aries Motor and Hoosier Tires, American Racing Wheels, Bosch, Kendall Earl Supply, and my great crew, John and Dave and Danny and Pete, and of course Larry Howard.
And he did that all without idiot cards, got them all listed. Well, congratulations on the win. Here's the guy that we congratulate for the championship of our ESPN TV series. And once again, you put on a show out there. You climbed over, I think it was Tommy White at one point, and he almost put a slide job on you later.
Yeah, you know, with the track as slick as it was, you really had to get to the front as quick as you could. And, you know, I got into a couple guys there, and I really, you know, it's nothing intentional, just I was really trying to get to the front early because I knew PJ was starting outside pole and he'd be gone. But you know, I'd like to thank Brent Giordino from Militech, because I know they're watching right now, and they're really helping us out a lot. Larry Sletter with our engine with Pontiac, Hoosier Racing Tire and Valvoline, SEC Racing Wheels, and there's many more others. So just thank you all. I mean, it's great running second.
Well, we thank you because we went along for the ride, and it was a great ride.
Well, you know, tonight I really wanted to be consistent, and because I knew I was leading the points going into this night, and the car was just working beautiful, you know, and I wish we would have had a yellow there towards the end. It would have been real exciting, but I'm really happy with the second.
And of course, as Saturday Night Thunder moves back to the Midwest, this guy is going to go back, and we'll see him a lot more this season. Congratulations to Jeff and to PJ. Larry?
Here was that moment that almost cost Jeff Gordon this main event. He bounces high in the air over Tommy White. He comes back down hard, but for some reason, the car stayed together. We'll be back. They shot the moon. They finished first and second. Jeff Gordon went on to become the champion of this televised series. Johnny Parsons was third, a very well-deserved third. Sleepy Trip was fourth, and Chuck Gurney, a terrific ride for him, also fifth. 6th through 10th, Robbie Flock, Bob Davison, Frank Pedregan, Hank Butcher, and A.J. Johnson. Finishing 11th through 15th in tonight's 30-lap feature, Johnny Kofer, Frank Baldozier, Tommy White, Sean Birmingham, and Steve Stassa. And rounding out the field, the final 5 finishers, Jet Davidson after a great last chance race, Kirk Alexander, Mike Blondell, Chris Alexander, and Dale Sexton.